Hi everybody, this is Monique. I'm coming to you today with a story time. This is going to be like a little collaboration of a few different stories into one, telling you my worst dates ever. My worst dates ever. So if you're interested in that kind of video, then keep watching. Okay guys, welcome back. So let me tell you about my worst dates ever. It's kind of hard to figure out where to start from. So I'm going to start with my cheapest date ever. My cheapest date ever was, if you're familiar with Philadelphia, you know that they have the Penn's Landing, and it is a free open spot for anybody that wants to walk along the riverbank. In the summertime, they have free concerts, they have events, they have festivals and all kinds of stuff. But in the wintertime, it's crickets, it's nothing going on. So at the time, the guy wanted to walk along the riverbank, which I thought was kind of weird because it's cold as shit. But I was feeling him, and he tried to make it seem like it was going to be romantic, because, he was trying to romance me and everything. So we're walking along the riverbank, and it just so happened to be that there was one vendor out there, and they were selling hot dogs, and they were selling hot chocolate. But it was so cold. Isn't it something with me and it being cold for real? It was so cold. I suggested to him, why don't we get some hot chocolate? And he was like, yeah, that sounds good. So we order our hot chocolate, and the vendor is looking at him, and I'm looking at him like, aren't you going to pay for the hot chocolates? And he's looking at me, and I look at the vendor, and it's like a trifecta of him looking at me, looking at the vendor, and me looking at the vendor, and the vendor looking at us. And I'm like, you're not going to pay for the hot chocolate? And he's like, I don't have any money for the hot chocolate. And I was like, you don't have $2 for the hot chocolate? I gave the vendor the money, but how you going to ask me on a date and you don't even have enough for hot chocolate? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about women's liberation and everything, and going half and going Dutch and stuff like that. But sometimes a woman wants to be treated like a woman. And if you ask her out on a date, I just assumed that you was paying, because you asked me out on a date and you only got money for a hot chocolate. So the one fiasco of a date, that's the only way I can explain it. One fiasco of a date was, it started off romantic, because they was always trying to romance me. So it started off romantic. It was a intimate picnic indoors though, and they had ordered a stromboli, and we had some wine, Wild Irish wine, and candlelight and soft music and everything. So I thought that was so sweet. You do what you can do, you work with what you can work. So sometimes it's not all about the places that they can take you and how much money they spend on you. Sometimes it's just the effort. So we're sitting on the floor with the soft music and eating the stromboli and, just boo loving and all that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, it was candlelight. And, this is a very good question to ask. I kept saying, whose place is this? Because we wasn't at my place. We was at his place. And he was like, oh, it's my place. And I got a roommate. And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, okay. Your roommate know you got company? Okay. Okay. So, thank goodness it did not proceed into the... However, we were, slow dragging, to the music and everything. He put the picnic away and everything. And it could have got to the... However, the light flicked on, and his mama walks in, and she was like, you done got another heifer in my house. Another heifer? I know you see other people, but you have other heifers in here doing the same thing? Child, that was the most awkward, weird date I ever been on. The date ended right there as soon as them lights flicked on. And number two, you grown as shit, dog. You still living with your mama? So my final story as far as worst dates, because I could go on and on and on because it's been a lot. You understand? It's been a lot. But my final date was, we go to an Italian restaurant in South Philly. And South Philly has a lot of mom and pop Italian restaurants that have authentic Italian. You got Italians really fixing your food. So we sat down and we're looking at the menu, and the stuff was pricey. The stuff was very, very pricey. And the waiter came over like a couple of times asking us were we ready to order, but you know how you get the vibe that something ain't right. Like, I was like, well, if this place is too expensive, we could always go somewhere else. And he was down with that, and I was okay with that, because I don't know about your mama, but my mama said always have enough to cover your charge and a cab ride home. So we go to the Olive Garden, and everybody knows the Olive Garden because it's a franchise. It's very popular. Everybody knows it. But truth be told, their stuff is not authentically Italian. You get my drift? So we sit down to eat, and our food come, and we're conversating. And out of nowhere, he says, "I like fucking in the ass." I was like, Now, we're sitting in the booth. So the people in back of him, they had turned around so fast because they heard what he said, and I could hear the giggling behind me because we're in the booth. There are people behind me, there's people behind him, and his statement just came out of left field, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he really just said that. And this is our very first date. Did I forget to tell you that was our very first date? And I tried so hard to talk about anything and everything except for being intimate, but he just kept bringing up doing it in the butt. Oh my God, it was the worst. I could not get away from him fast enough. He was like, "Do you want me to ride you home?" Nope, I don't need you to ride home. I went to the people and asked them to call me a cab and call me a cab home. And I paid for I was like, don't even worry about treating me for my half of the meal. I got my own money. I'm paying my own half of the meal and everything. It was the worst date ever that I could tell you right now. So, I hope you like this quick story time. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Please comment down below your worst date ever. I know I'm not the only one that had some crazy doozy dates. I know I'm not the only one. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and come on and join my family. If you're oldie but goodie, thank you for tuning back in. You always keep a girl down, especially with all that positivity that you send out by liking my video. So thank you so much for watching, and see you on my next story time or my next video. Bye guys.